Welcome! This is Megan at Rocky Mountain Sewing and Vacuum, and we're going to be talking about some of the screen features on the new Pfaff Creative Icon 2. Pfaff has introduced a whole bunch of new features with this machine, and I'm super excited to show you what a lot of them are. So, on the screen here, they've made it kind of very user-friendly, not to mention they've added a lot of cool tools in here that we didn't exactly have on the last model or on some of the other ones, so I think it's really neat. So on the top here, you'll notice there's that little Wi-Fi symbol. So that lets me know, whoops, wrong button. There we go, the Wi-Fi symbol. So that lets me know what Wi-Fi connection I'm connected to. So that is good to know if I am connected to the Wi-Fi or not, or if something is going on. Because the Wi-Fi is useful on this machine for both connecting to your MySewNet or also for getting updates and things like that. So speaking of those two things, the next icon here is going to be the cloud for MySewNet. And with your MySewNet, you can log in and all of that sort of thing. And if you're not there yet, that's totally fine. The next button is going to be if you have a firmware update. So you'll notice on my machine here, I've got this little orange icon there that tells me, hey, there's one available, do you want to do that? So I can tell the machine yes or no and go from there. Of course, right there, we've got the time. I do not have it set up to the proper time yet, but we will work on that. And then this button right here is kind of a really good one to know. That's kind of like your home button, so it'll bring you back to the main screen. So if I go here, you'll notice I've got sewing, embroidery, and MySewNet. So of course, we've got our sewing functions, our embroidery functions, but the MySewNet is a really fun one to show you. So if I press onto this one, what is cool is it actually brings up the blog posts and things that have been put in MySewNet. Not to mention, if you are logged into MySewNet, you can pull up some of your own designs or things that you've saved that you've sent to your machine. What is so cool about these projects, though, is that I can press on one, like the Valentine's bag. I can see a closer image of it, and then it tells me you can go into MySewNet for the instructions. And then up here with that little book icon, that one there, if I have one selected, it'll actually show me the instructions of the project, which is really, really cool. You do need to be logged into your MySewNet account to have that happen, but I think that is awesome. If there's a tutorial that you're following along and you don't necessarily want to have your phone or tablet next to you the whole time, it'll actually load up on the screen on the machine so that you can follow along. How cool is that? All right, so moving on from there, I'm gonna go back in the sewing screen here. And then I've got a couple more icons here. So I've got that MySewNet function. So there's that little speech bubble with the Wi-Fi thing on there. That's going to be your blog stuff as well, which is really cool. I can hit the back. Come on. This button I love because if I'm working on sewing and go, oh, I need to embroider that towel really quick for so-and-so, I can actually hit this button right here, and it switches me over to the embroidery screen so I can do my embroidery editing functions and things like that. So it is really quick and easy to switch from one to the other on this machine, which I really love because sometimes you're working on something and you go, oh, I need to do that really fast. So you can do that really quick and it saves what you've been working on the other side, which is really cool. The next icon, of course, is going to be that project button that we were talking about. Then the question button, or the question mark, is going to be what I like to call the lifeline, where you go, whoops, not help center, the question. I can go, what does this mean? And it'll tell me exactly what that button means on my screen, which is really cool. Which brings me to the button I accidentally pressed, which is this little, like, textbook button, which is going to be your help center. And this is really cool. Okay, so in the help center here, you've got all sorts of things. I like to refer to it on the Creative Icon 1, the help center was kind of like your manual on the machine. On the Creative Icon 2, it is so much more. So on here, it's got techniques and tutorials, a quick start guide, the user's guide, which the user's guide is going to be like your manual. So I pressed that accidentally, but I can go back. It even has sewing instructions and even a guide to stabilizers, accessories, and needles for your machine. So if you are stumped at all, this machine has all of that information there right at the touch of a button, which is awesome. So if you're working on like a prom dress and you're not sure what needle to use, you can go into the needle guide and kind of figure that out. If you are looking for a specific foot or hoop to make your life easier, you can go into the accessory guide, and it gives you quilting accessories, embroidery accessories, and machine accessories. So a whole bunch of different things that you can look at and learn more information about, which is really, really nice. And then, of course, the last button up here, if I get out of Help Center, is going to be your settings button. So the settings button is really nice if there's something you want to change, like say you don't like your background color, or you want to deactivate some of the things that are on there, like the Active Stitch technology. You can certainly do that in settings, which is really cool. So manipulating around the screen on this is really super duper easy. So in the embroidery screen like I'm in right now, obviously I'm not going to embroider anything because I don't have my unit on, but I can still play around with it even though it's not on. If I press the little 3 lines there, it'll kind of open up that menu. Or no, excuse me, I was wrong. If I press those 3 lines, I can actually move this around my screen so that it moves to somewhere that makes more sense to me if I want. Then I can press the little flower button here and see the designs on the machine. I can press this, make it bigger or smaller, whatever makes sense to me. I can go through all the different designs, and it's just a really easy to use interface, which I really, really, really like. I always like to say sewing is more fun if it's fun and not work. So the Pfaff has created such a fun environment for sewing on the Pfaff Creative Icon too. Be sure to come check it out in our stores and experience the screen for yourself, and we would love to see you there. Thank you so much for joining me. We'll see you next time.